All right, welcome back. Gomez says, "Hola, I don't read books surprisingly. I spend time with the ages across the demographics, especially the elderly. That's how I learn through human interaction." Yes, experience. Absolutely. The closest thing to experience is maybe mentorship, coaching, but even it's like light years distance, right? But also face to face interactions, right? What did I say? Agreed. All our personal growth occurs as you experience life along your years. Yeah, that's why when people say age doesn't matter, I say, please don't say that. Okay, I know, like in a lot of circumstances in life, age doesn't matter. But I know where that statement is coming from. It's coming from a very, very bad, arrogant place. That's not good. You collect saying things like that to yourself. But this is only for those who are self-aware. Yes. Let's see. Nothing beats face-to-face communication than via texts, emails. Emotions are felt and understood when you see the person face to face. Yes, and they are tested, meaning it's just the worst emotions you're going to feel will come from this sometimes. Okay. Yep. Yep. All right. Awesome. Let's get into this one right here. These tools that we're about to mention, I've said this in many, many of my talking points. Yes, I do have talking points. Yes. These tools can create lasting. No, these tools don't create lasting, healthy, sustainable, and quality change in relationships, and especially marriage. All right. People tend to gravitate in this direction when they don't have better answers, when they don't have patience, right? When they are collecting woto woto from the reality of learning how relationships work. Mm. Just think about it. When people don't know, they gravitate towards these things. Let me see how many of them I have. I have about 10 of them. Okay. I think I'm going to fly through it, but I want you to write this down if you can. But I will reference it from time to time in our sessions. Obviously, we drive traffic on this platform because we cover trendy topics, okay? But I will reference these things from time to time, okay? Because I want you to be able to walk away from Men of Prestige and say, you know what? There's more to learn. I don't want you to say I learned everything. I want you to say, I don't know shit. And there's more I need to learn, right? Because every time I finish these shows, I feel exactly like that, even though I am the anchor and the host here of Matter of Prestige. Every time I finish a show, I've learned another thing. Like, wow, there's more to this, right? So I will reference this from time to time. I might end up, I think we'll put it in the book, Love and Prestige. Any of this stuff, we'll get them in the book. Love and Prestige that wife and I were working on. These are relationship poisons. They're on your screen right now. Look at them closely. I need to explain them. I need to break them down. These things are relationship poisons. On the surface, some of them, they look like good things. They look like a good thing. Like it's a good thing. Like, no, we need to do this. We need to listen. That's your lack of patience. That's exactly what got you here in the first place, right? None of this stuff that we're talking about when it comes to romantic relationships, especially, none of this stuff is going to help. On the surface, they look like they will help because I bet you're thinking accountability, right? But you're thinking accountability only in short term. You're not thinking a long term. Because what did this say is these tools, they don't create lasting, healthy, sustainable, and quality change in relationships, and especially marriage. You will understand what I'm talking about more if you've gone through a crisis and you know what it feels like on the other side, or you've tried to use any of these tools and you know that it's not helping. It might make you feel better, right? In the moment, you check them. I check them. Hold them accountable, right? That's your feelings. These are the issues. That's your feelings barking. And you know what they say about hit dogs? It's not helping. You know what they say about empty barrels? They make the loudest noise. This is not helping. Because you speak this anger that's coming out of your rhetoric. It's not just how you talk. No, this is you. This is something is happening. Something is happening. Number one, shame. On the surface, it looks like shame is like something that we feel when we just know we did something wrong. But the problem with that is that we're stuck on wrong. Let me jump to number 10 really quickly. Right and wrong obsessed. I'll come back to it. Let's go back to number 1. Shame. The only thing that shame does is spell out what most people already know. What's right and wrong. Oh, you think the person that's doing the wrong thing didn't know they were doing something wrong, right? You think you're the first one telling them that whatever you're saying is wrong. Listen, at the very minimum, they know someone thinks it's wrong, even if they're justifying themselves that it's right, because they will. If they're doing it, trust me, they've justified that it's right, right? But you think you're the first that would tell them that they're wrong, right? But really what you're doing is making them stronger in the midst of that funk of quote unquote wrong. Because by the way, you're right that whatever it is that they're doing is wrong, right? But you're making them...
You're right.
You're just making them feel stronger. It's like beating a child over and over and over. Eventually, some children is going to create the opposite effect of what you're looking for. Meaning, they just dust the stuff like this, brush their shoulder off. Has no effect on them. Shame is poison. Because if they care at all, they will resent you. That's if they care at all. If they care about engaging you at all, they will just resent you. Number 2, insult. Similar. Let me insult them. Oh no, you're not saying you're insulting them. You're just using some colorful words to make them aware of how they're doing wrong. Another major problem is that you're not taking the time. You have disrespect for patience and process. The only thing, there's 2 things. Those are the 2 things that create some of the things we value the most in life. Patience and understanding that every good thing you like comes out of process, right? You're like, no, I need to get an answer right now. I need them to feel. No, you don't call it feeling. I know them to know that what they're doing is wrong right now. You do this in romantic relationships. They will, if they care at all, they will only resent you. If they don't care, they'll give you a middle finger. Okay? The only effect you're going to get out of it that may seem positive is short term. You will feel good about yourself because you called out the bullshit. Call it out. Right? Call it out. You'll feel good about yourself. But in terms of lasting change, you want that person to change for better, and you want it to be sustainable, not just some temporary quick results you get. Maybe they're scared of you, so they kind of backed out from whatever that bad behavior is quickly, right? That's all you're going to get. That's the best you're going to get out of it. Number 3, blame. Similar. Blame. Faults. You can replace that with faults, right? Let me see if I can add faults into that. Let's see if we have some space there. No, we can't. But just at the back of your mind. You know what? I can hide it. Let me hide it. Because again, we're going to reference this all the time. So I want to make sure that blame. Why? You need to make somebody know that it's their fault. It has to be somebody's fault for you. Yeah, but Ola, accountability though is very important. It's stuff like that. Listen, your obsession with fault is going to push accountability further and further away. Of course, accountability is very important, but the whole point of accountability is that they're able to see that, yes, like that's for you to, you remember lasting change, sustainable change, right? I think it's a healthy thing to have accountability in relationships, but I think it's much more healthier when they actually want to hold themselves accountable. The want part of it, right? But you're just going to force them into it. You need to it's a lot of this stuff. Some of this stuff might be useful in certain times, but your obsession with these things is particularly what I'm talking about. Number 4, judgment. Judgment is just terrible. If you're a Christian, you know that from Matthew 7:7. Okay, because you're going to need grace sometimes. You will need grace sometimes. And when you're coming from a place of judgment, right? You're not assessing issues. Okay, all of this stuff are same. They're kind of like the same things, by the way. A lot of them, it's kind of like the same things. You're not patient. You're like, no, I have to tell somebody they're wrong. It doesn't matter if I create lasting change, sustainable change. I just need to feel right that they're wrong, right? They poison relationships because you're going to need grace sometimes. But when you're on the receiving end of needing grace, you tend not to remember that you were quite judgmental. When you're judgmental, sometimes, most of the times, you're actually right? But it's also you projecting your expectations of how you think on the other person. And the reality is that the other person is different from you, right? This is where compatibility falls in the poto, right? The other person is a different human being altogether. And your own sense of judgment is clouded by your personality, your temperament, the way you think, the way you were raised, your culture. It's clouded by all of those things. So it creates unrealistic expectations. And what do we say here all the time about unrealistic expectations? They destroy relationships. But we should have expectations. I know, but I'm talking about unrealistic, meaning it's not reality. You're not going to get what you're expecting. It's just not reality. The idea of whatever it is that you're talking about is just not the reality. You're not going to get it. So what's that going to make you do? You're going to resent. What is resentment going to do in relationship? Create more toxin, even when you're right. Okay? Especially romantic relationships, because there's no paycheck on Friday. If there was a paycheck, you can use the paycheck to manipulate them to do what you want, right? And that's fair. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about romantic relationships, because that's really what you're talking about. Listen, majority of you're doing well at your job. In fact, you're the best employee at your job. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about romantic relationships. Like, how long are we going to keep capping about this? Right? Number 6, guilt. It's basically self-blame, self-fault. That will work against you too. I'm not asking you to be quick to call it like it's my fault. No, that's terrible. Don't do that. It's not about fault. You don't need to make it about fault. There is a system, there's a dynamic system in that relationship, and it's being created because of the dynamics between you and that person, right? It's deeper than right and wrong. Because, by the way, you are right? Maybe you're right, but you're creating terrible results. Oh, it's only them that's creating results. No. It's not just them that's creating the terrible results. You're both creating the results. It doesn't mean it's your fault. Remember, you just went to fault. It's not about faults, okay? It's about self-reflection. I contributed to this, not necessarily physically or with my mouth, verbally. My energy, my spiritual energy has helped create the dynamics here. I have attracted something here, right? There's something there's something about you that think it's okay for the other person to treat you this way. It's not necessarily your fault, but you need to be aware of what that is. If you say there's nothing, there is still something, and you're basically making yourself unaware of the realities that is still present, and you will still collect with that mindset, unfortunately.
You collect with
All right. All right. That's number 6, guilt. Gomez says, when we become invested in our self-awareness, we'll listen more and are less judgmental. Yes. Self-control is vital to deal with these poisons you have written, Ola. I know. And it will be tested. Sometimes you just fall on your face, but it's not all the way a bad thing. Forgive yourself as fast as humanly possible so you can learn, what did I miss? That's why guilt is on that list. Self-guilt is a poison. Self-guilt is not the same thing as accountability. Being accountable means you go a little bit closer to being objective and say, what am I going to learn from that? Guilt means that, oh my life, oh my days, what did I do? Why did I do this? You're stuck in that.
Oh my days,
you're stuck in that emotion that you're not enough. It's okay to have moments where you're not enough, but you need to forgive yourself and know that you're always enough. Okay? Let's get back to it. Number 7, discrete logic, as in like 1 and 0. It's a poison. It's poisonous to relationships, especially with the way most people with all the talking points are handling it. Okay? Logic. You're not logical if you're discounting emotions. You're not a logical person if you're not able to listen to emotions, starting with yourself first. Okay? Start with yourself first. If you're not able to listen to emotions, your own personal emotions first. Because if you're not going to say, hey, I'm an emotional human being too, you're not capable of listening to other people's emotions. And then also the social construct, the fact that this is a society, right? So discrete logic, no, I don't care your feelings, it's either you're right or you're wrong. The way I see this world, I just tell you straight as it is. You're lame. You're just a lame person. It's okay. What I mean is lack of game, okay? You don't understand how life works. You need to stay in school, not the regular school. You need to start talking to some more elders. Start talking to some people that have some experience, okay? There's nuances to everything in life, including even the 1 and 0 that's written in your face, and the black and white. And when you apply that mindset, like, oh, I don't care about your feelings, you're responsible. If you apply that to relationships of any type, even money relationships, even the stock market, you will lose all your money. I guarantee it. Because everything we care about in life is driven by emotions. Discrete logic is poisonous for romantic relationships. But you were wrong. There you go. Is that working for you? By the way, keep doing it. Okay? If it's working for you. But from what I've seen, thousands upon thousands of cases, it's poison for relationships. Calm down. Humble yourself. You don't know shit. Okay? Number 8, sarcasm. A little sarcasm, banter, jokey. We're just joking around. It's not that deep. That's not what I'm talking about. But if you are having a conversation that clearly another person is not feeling good about the situation, feelings, keyword, sarcasm will poison your relationship. That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay? The same thing is true about condescension. What is sarcasm? Somebody say, what is sarcasm? Do you want me to help um, with the stuff you were doing in the room earlier? No, don't help me. Really, what you're trying to say is yes, help me. But you decided to add some colorful emotions to it, right? You decided to be a little offensive because not because you mean to, but because you were caught up in your emotions too. You have your own reasons, emotional. You're caught up somewhere. You were offended too, right? But you decided to add a little bit of colorful emotion. No, like why am I sucking my teeth, right? That's poison for your relationship. Okay, if you're able to stop doing things like that, that also means that you're working on yourself and you're able to say, I am caught up in my emotions, babe. I'm not feeling good. I'm a little sad. This is why, right? You're able, trust me, lots of work goes into that because we're all emotional beings. We're caught up in our emotions sometimes, right? But if you say, no, F that, that's how I felt, I'm just going to be blunt, well, it's poisonous, okay? Condescension is very similar, but condescension is like things like, you won't help me with that thing again now, right now. Listen, I understand the little joke, we're human beings, right? But be careful, okay? Be careful with those type of rhetorics. So you're not going to do this for me, right? Like, listen, trust me. Don't do that, okay? Say, hey, babe, I need you to help me with that thing. Can you please? Yes, regardless of how many times you have to say. I know it's frustrating sometimes, but this is me asking you to engage intentional kindness. Don't assume that you are a kind person because you think you're a good person. Sometimes your mouth, even as a man, is a lethal weapon. It's poisoning your relationships. I'm being honest with you. Okay? And what makes it even worse is that it comes from a blind spot. You're not able to see it like that sometimes. You're not able to, you don't know what you don't know, right? You're trying to you're trying to feel right. Nobody give a shit about anything outside of their feelings. Every single one of us. What I'm sharing with you right now, I feel good sharing it with you. I'm not that much of a selfless person. I'm just human like you. But it gives me a sense of fulfillment to be able to share this with you. It's a feeling. Don't put yourself on that pedestal. Add a little of an intentional source to kindness. You know when it's the toughest to be kind? When see finish enter, when you start to take each other for granted. Now it becomes a subconscious thing to be rude, to be unruly to your partner, to the person that you care about the most, to the person that if they pull the plug today, it will dismantle and destroy your life, at least for a while. Sarcasm and condescension are extremely dangerous. Why? Because they are lethal. You don't notice that you're doing it because see finish day there. Now your guy be this person now, your wife now your guy, right? You don't see that you're doing like, oh, I didn't see that way, right? So matter of fact, if you've never been through this, you can't comprehend what I'm saying. Okay? Yeah. Shout out to 𝐑𝐄𝐋𝐀𝐓𝐈𝐎 for engaging this heavily. Yeah, when we become self-awareness, yes, we talked about that. Sarcasm is insulting joke to me, yes, right? There's a space you are where you can appreciate sarcasm, you laugh about it. That means the other person is receiving it as a joke, right? But when the other person is receiving it as insult, it's not your definition of what you're doing that matters, it's how the other person is receiving it. So if the other person is receiving your joke as insulting, yes, at that point, you should pay attention. Sarcasm is insultive joke to me, yes. D-Love says, I've never understood that humor of sarcasm. That's because they are being sarcastic. Sarcasm is a real thing, but you're receiving it as an insult. At the back of their mind, they might just not realize how poisonous it is, right? But that's why I'm talking about it right now. Okay? Because again, a lot of these things is it's not people who deliberately try to be evil to you, but they are creating evil outcomes. Yeah. And last but not least. People wonder why I play this.
Oh, you're right.
Right and wrong obsession. Right and wrong obsessed. Right? Why do people engage in toxic arguments? Right? Why do people continue to nurse it in their mind that arguments are okay? Right? It's a need to be right. It's poisonous. It's obsession with being right, right? Particularly from a feeling standpoint. Feelings. Because actually, for all we know, everything I just said in this video could be wrong. I feel like it's right. Maybe somebody's going to make a case, make an argument for how it's all completely wrong. Maybe it's actually wrong. All I know is what I know, right? I can't know what I don't know because I don't know it. Everything I've told you so far in this session is a function of how I was raised, my education level, my personality, what I personally appreciate. It's personal to a large extent still. Oh, it's no, don't take it personal. It's business. Everything is personal. Stop the cap. Stop
the cap.
Everything is personal. Everything. Stop it. If it's not personal, you wouldn't care. You wouldn't care. Everything is personal. But I know what you mean when you say it's personal, it's not business. I know what you mean. Okay. But right and wrong, if what you're looking for is who is wrong and who is right, you are probably lame. What I mean is that you lack game. You probably lack wisdom. It's probably a very high chance it's not your fault. Maybe you just don't have enough experience. Maybe you're just young. Maybe you've never experienced pain. You've never offended anybody else in your life. You're just always perfect. You're righteous. You know so much books. But I can Google definitions and there's nothing I don't know, right? All right. We all don't know anything, all of us, okay? That's why you must, as much as possible, listen, I know what's right. Remember we did a session here yesterday where we clearly said it's wrong for a person to go and sleep with their boss so they can get their husband a job. That's wrong. But what else? What else? What else can we learn from that? Okay? Anyway. Like I said, we have something going on here today. I'm going to keep it out here. I wanted to make sure that if I'm going to break the rules and come today, I bring something solid. We will chop this out, into separate lessons. But this is some of our core lessons. Excuse me. All right. So we're going to call it a day here. Okay. So I can release you to go and join NTB. Those of you that are with NTB. But I know some of you are coming back to watch this lesson later on. Do me a favor. Share this. Share. Marriages are breaking apart everywhere because people don't know this stuff. They are obsessed with who is right and who is wrong. They're using their own hands to poison their relationships. Okay? Listen, if you're obsessed with right or wrong, you won't stop until you end up in the courts. All the men here that live in the Western world, you know what's going to happen when you end up in the courts, right? Hey. Yeah. Yep. You will end up in McDonald's. Is it fair? Well, listen. It's matters of the heart. There's only so much the systems can help you. If you can't figure it out before you get there, They will help you make it about right and wrong. And that means you will collect regardless of what side you're on. Okay. In fact, ladies, you might win all of the custody, win all the alimony you want, all that kind of stuff. Guess who's gonna collect the most? The children. Sadly. The children. But that's all I have for you today. Hopefully you've been enlightened, educated. I'll see you on the next one.